welcome to one of my favourite parts of the day. It's morning coffee time. I thought I'd take you through the day. Let me explain my morning coffee time to you. Basically, I have coffee and I like to do those kind of big admin tasks. Like I've got a interview that I filmed the introduction and the ending to, so I need to add those in and maybe send them off to the guest. I've also got job applications to do, and I feel like lots of these kind of life admin tasks and like replying to emails you need to reply to and doing all of that kind of thing, it just feels better if you get it done in the morning than in the evening. I don't really know why, but I just like to start the day off well. So I sent off my job applications, finished my edit, and also I've decided, because actually a workshop industry talk kind of thing I went to recently reminded me of this fact, I've started getting back in contact with film schools and submitting myself as an actor and saying, like, if your students are making any projects, please keep me on file, please consider me for these things. Because I think sometimes you can go through phases of doing all this outreach and getting your name out there, and then sometimes we just let these things slide. And I think it's really useful to be able to contact not just the university film courses, but also the film schools where they might have more high quality equipment and like more practical kind of experience and projects that they do. Now, as you might have predicted, I am in my self-tape setup because I've got a self-tape, but it's one of those self-tapes where it's just answering a question and it's more sort of to get to know you. And I have done in-person auditions with this company before. I've also done these kind of self-tapes, and I feel like it's just about getting to know you. So I think sometimes I start to think of it too much as a standalone piece and be like, oh, I will show how my personality is and I will connect with them in this one individual self-tape, whereas really I have been seen by them a few times. So I think acknowledging that, like I did that in my National Youth Theatre self-tape where I was successful, I said I have been auditioning for the last 3 years or something, or like this is my third time auditioning, just so they know that you're really serious about them. Like, you already have connections with these people, so I think I will try to sort of allude to that. And so now what I'm up to is I'm filming content for another video because I had a video idea that was quite big as an idea, but I thought now I've thought of this idea and I've seen that not many people have done this, I feel like I should do it. So I'm trying to read and then introduce all of Shakespeare's comedy plays, and there's 14 of them. So I thought I'd show you how I prepare to demonstrate my thoughts on these, but I feel like this can be really applicable to auditions as well, because I think it's taught me the importance and the value, for me personally anyway, this might not work for anyone, of reading the material in advance. Because I feel like when I was trying to summarise my thoughts on a Shakespeare play immediately after finishing it, like the thoughts weren't coming together. I had so many thoughts in my head, but they weren't converting to words. So I feel like it's made me realise that maybe I'd like to make sure that I read the material for auditions, like if it's based on a book or if there's a full script, read it as early as possible so that then in the audition when they ask me my thoughts on it, like my thoughts are more solidified in my head, if that makes sense. But then I like to write some of the key points on bullet points on a laptop, because otherwise I just was struggling to format all of my different thoughts and verbalise them. And this clip I'm about to film is about The Merchant of Venice. That was actually my GCSE play, so I'm hoping it will be easier to speak my thoughts on it compared to some of the ones that are a bit more new to me. So what's going on now is I'm basically about to go out to my Spanish group, and something that I think is nice is that I have loads of these different community groups on different nights. That's just an option to be able to go to. Like, I have my Spanish group, I can go salsa dancing, there's tap that I sometimes go to. I'm looking for a new class for that actually. And also comedy improv. I thought it was going to be just improv until a few hours before, and I was like, oh, it's like comedy improv, but that's actually quite fun. And I mean, I say I'm going out to Spanish, but I'm actually going a little bit before to help my friend with her presentation for the Spanish group, because every week we do a little presentation on the theme, which is quite fun. And I've got her into going to my Spanish group. So I'm going to meet my friend, and also I hope it will be a good opportunity to talk about a little audition dilemma I have, because in a couple of days I was meant to be going to an audition, but I found out the end time is like potentially 9:30 p.m, which is after the last bus time, which you don't really think about these things often. And like, if you're in London, you don't have to think about these things, but like public transport anywhere outside of London is just quite questionable, unreliable, and you've got to think about your safety as well, being out at night in an area that you're not really overly familiar with. And you've just got to consider how viable these things would be, because I thought it would be like events earlier on in the day that you'd be performing at, but it's actually events finishing quite late at night. I've got to work it out, because I don't like saying no to auditions, but sometimes like some projects I'd be paying so much for accommodation that I wouldn't really make a profit. So I think it's also about work and like where the opportunities will take you. So actually, if you find yourself in these situations often, please let me know in the comments how you manage these, because I feel like it's so confusing to know if you're making the right decision or not. So I'm back from Spanish, which is always a very entertaining section of the week, and I thought I'd give you, I guess, a book haul, because there's people in the Spanish group who I know who lend me books related to acting or plays that they think would be useful, or books for learning Spanish, so I thought I'd share them here. So this is one that I've been lent today. It is about well, I don't know what it's about yet because I've not started reading it, but what it is basically short extracts of Spanish by this Uruguay based author. So basically this is the book if you're looking into getting to read a little bit of Spanish, practice your Spanish. Another book that I actually was lent last week is this book, which is an anthology of poetry about Shakespeare, because I've been reading the Shakespeare plays, as I've stated many times here, and it's got references to the Shakespeare plays, so I guess as I read the Shakespeare plays, there's ones that are relevant to do with The Winter's Tale. And also, I've been given this book actually, Acting with Shakespeare, the Comedies, because I have stated that I'm reading the comedies. So I think this book is actually really good, because I've looked through it. I've not properly read it yet, but this seems really conversational and really engaging as a book. Something else I'm working on is this monologue. I have a monologue from Two Noble Kinsmen that I used for my drama school auditions in 2020, because I'm old now, but I thought I have an audition where it would be useful to bring it back, because I'm looking at really bringing out the comedy and also really making sure that my own accent, my own voice is heard through this, because actually if you look at the genuine accent that people had all those years ago in this country, it's not the posh accent we have today, because accents change so much over time. So the accent that they had many centuries ago is unrecognisable compared to the modern posh accent. And also theatre wasn't so much for posh people. I feel like the culture's really changed, because theatre's now an incredibly expensive and formal thing where there'd be crowds of people at the Globe. So you don't need a posh voice is basically what I'm saying. And I'm really trying to find my own voice and really familiarise myself with these words. And I feel like the Jailer's Daughter monologue in Two Noble Kinsmen has a lot of comedy you can find in it, because there's absolutely no hope in her head that she'll ever be able to have her feelings of love requited and felt back towards her, but she's still getting her hopes up. So there's so many ups and downs and contrasts and twists and turns in this monologue, so I feel like it's a really fun one to do. But also I'm obviously going to have nice chilled plans this evening as well, but I hope you enjoyed my little book tour. Thank you so much to everyone for watching, and let's chat in the comments please, because I just do love having a chat in the comments. Thank you, bye.